So I think I can give an example, right? So the one example that I've recently invested in, which is this company called Nu Holdings or Nu Bank, that's actually based out in Latin America. So it's actually the digital bank in Brazil. So Brazil right now accounts for close to 95% of overall revenues and profits. Recently, just IPO last year, one year ago. Berkshire Hathaway or Warren Buffett has been known to have invested in their final round before they went public. Obviously, the stock is down significantly. Now, interesting thing is that this is actually a digital bank. And Brazil is actually one of the banks in one of the places in the world where the bank makes a lot of money. You go and check actually the top 4 to 5 banks, all of them have very strong, high return on equity, which is very similar to banks, which means either one, the financial system is not very efficient, which allows a few dominant banks to make a lot of money, which is great, right? Now, if you think about digital banks, you need scale. And one thing really is that there are very few digital banks that can actually work globally. One, you need a large number of population, and when population goes in through, there is scale side. So, for example, one that got me actually really interested before I looked at a new bank was actually Ant Financial. And Ant Financial was when I looked at the first IPO prospectus before obviously the Chinese government put the IPO, and I went through that and I was like, okay, wow, I'm really amazed. But obviously the IPO got put and I couldn't invest in Ant Financial. So I've always been on the lookout for a true, real and digital bank that has the unit economics. And so let me try to run through understanding this, right? So the background is that we know Brazilian banks make a lot of money. Now the question is, can a digital bank come in and make a lot of money? So this is how it went through. It came in through and started first with debit and credit cards, because typically a majority of Brazilian payments don't actually go through debit and credit cards because a lot of them are actually fairly poor. So they don't own a fair bit of that. So they started that, through that, had gained a fair bit of traction. And what they realized is that they needed to then, for example, because traditionally what banks do in Brazil is that they fund each other through the interbank market, which interbank markets is very, very high. So the way they will try to go through is try to get retail bank deposits. And when you get retail bank deposits, what it does is that it typically lowers your cost of funds, and your cost of funds is lower than in the bank, which means your funding lower. And how banks actually make money is that I get money from, borrow money from cheaper, so in the case of depositors who put money in the bank at a lower rate and lend it out at higher rates. And so they make what we call a interest income. So that's what they do. And of course, banks generally tend to also make money by what we call fee-based or commission-based income, which is like, for example, selling investments, selling, in this case, crypto, selling, in this case, insurance and loans and all that stuff. So the case really about them is, firstly, one, they're a digital bank. The cost to serve, meaning the cost to serve the customer, they don't need branches, they don't need people in the branches, is significantly lower. Two, how they manage to acquire the customer itself is of a lower what you call cost to acquire, cost of acquisition is also very low, which is very good. Now, then at the same time, they are trying to expand on their end internally. They're going to on the digital bank as well. They're also expanding to many, many different products. So the lifetime value of the company has also been growing from the overall standpoint. Now that you can see by the lifetime. So what you realize, this company is actually making a lot more money from the standpoint. Two, second thing is that with the low cost of funds, and then now they're trying to expand down into more loans basically. And in the loans, when you're your digital bank, you're actually capturing a lot much more information because all of the customers' payrolls, their spending patterns and everything are being captured. So they themselves, one, they're able to make better loans with lower loss delinquency rates than their incumbents. As a result, they have lower loss. So how banks typically make money is make money again from interest rates, interest fee income, commissions, and also net off the losses, right? The credit losses. So you want to maximize the first one and minimize the last two, such that you don't, and ideally you make a lot of money. So by doing that from a pure digital standpoint, Brazil has been tremendously profitable. They just reported their earnings overnight, which I just covered as well. Their return on equity over the latest Q4 is 40%, 40%.
Wow.
There are very few banks in the world, I can tell you, of return of equity is 40%. Even DBS is not even close to that, right? So and they're still in the early stages of Brazil. They're only about 44% of the adult population, and like credit cards volumes are still like I think 10, 15, 20% of overall. So they're still the fifth largest bank in Brazil. It's still a long way to go, and for me, it's really finding this sweet spot of a digital bank, even though I don't really like banks in the first place, but having this this sweet spot of very strong unit economics, right? And the more you uncover, the more you see through all of it. It's just amazing. Like the new cohorts are growing faster than, of course, the older cohorts at a faster rate, adopting more and more products, because now there are more and more products on the platform, right? Versus the older cohorts that had started with much lower products. So the adoption rate is also faster. The people are growing faster. They just started with Brazil. Brazil is the key biggest market. They are looking to expand into Mexico and Colombia, adopting the same model, and something that I'm very, very interestingly watched.